My BF looks like my dad, and I can't unsee it. I always knew that my boyfriend felt familiar when I first met him, but I never expected him to be so similar to my dad. It all happened when my boyfriend joined us on our usual family golf day. He and my dad were busy working on a hole-in-one while my mom and I were sitting in the golf cart watching them take their turns. We rolled our eyes at their jokes and laughed along to a few stories when my mom suddenly mentioned that they looked so alike when they stood side by side. I looked at them more closely, surprised by her comment, but she was right. They had the same squinted eyes and wide smile. Even the way they laughed sounded similar. The more I stared at them, the more I couldn't help but feel a little grossed out by the idea that I was basically dating a younger version of my dad. After finishing their turn on the field, my boyfriend walked over and leaned in to give a kiss. I panicked and avoided the kiss by instinct, putting my hand on his face to stop him. My eyes widened when I realized what I did, and I apologized. He looked at me, visibly shocked by what happened, and asked if something was wrong. I shook my head and laughed awkwardly, saying that I just wasn't comfortable doing any PDA in front of my parents at the moment. I knew it was a bad excuse given how long we had been dating already, but I seriously couldn't stop imagining my dad when I saw him up close. He apologized and kissed my hand instead, which made my stomach churn a bit. He went back to talking to my parents, and I stared at the two of them again, completely creeped out by the resemblance. When we got back home from playing golf, I called up one of my friends to talk about the weird situation. She explained how it was common to date someone who was like our parents anyway, and not to overthink things, but I kept pressing that it was beyond being similar. It was completely uncanny. She sighed, tired of fighting me, and said, "Okay, then just check the DNA if you're really bothered by it." I checked online and found a site that discreetly checked DNA samples for matches and got to work. I stole a few of my boyfriend's belongings like his toothbrush and a few strands of hair and placed it all in a Ziploc bag, and did the same with a few of my dad's belongings. I shipped both bags to a DNA testing place and refused to see my boyfriend until the results were officially back. I felt like I couldn't look him in the eyes until I was sure that he and I were definitely not related whatsoever and that all the similarities were just odd coincidences. So I waited day and night anxiously all week. The package arrived at our house while I was outside, and my parents opened it up out of curiosity. When I got back home, they asked me to sit down in the living room and handed me the package with the results of the DNA testing. It was, unfortunately, a match. I sat there, feeling like the floor completely shattered after seeing the truth with my own two eyes. I was so confused. How could this have even happened? My dad apologized, slouching forward to put his face in his hands. He explained that when he was young, before he and my mom started dating, he foolishly donated his DNA to a bank, along with his friends for fun, and didn't think it would actually be used. Well, surprise, surprise, I have a half-brother. After that, I cut contact with my half-brother, half-boyfriend to avoid any problems, and pretty much kept that a secret I planned on taking to the grave.